Good morning, this is Michael Vanderpool in the capital city of the country of Georgia. It's called Tbilisi. So I've just prepared the B12 methylcobalamin self-injection. I'm not a medical doctor. I do not give medical advice. I don't practice medicine. This video is just for information and entertainment purposes only. I have the lipotropic B complex self-injection also prepared to the syringe, and I have the alcohol swab. I've also brought the moringa powder in here today. I'm going to have to buy some more today or tomorrow. And it is Monday, August 23rd, 2021. This is the methylcobalamin, vitamin B12 methylcobalamin. Let's see if I can get the auto focus to... I don't know if the autofocus is gonna catch that or not. Let me set this on the cutting board and see if I can catch it. The autofocus is not. That's good to learn that the autofocus is not working on this device. I'll have to use a second device for the autofocus. So let me get the second device. So I've got the second device. Let's see. There we go. I think it's going to be different. Yes, indeed. There's the autofocus. Boy, that's a good thing to learn, see clearly about these devices. Okay, so there it is. In fact, I can do a little bit better, I'm sure. Yeah, that's it. This is from England. England. Oxford Labs. There is the beetroot and the apples that I'm preparing to make juice with. There is the green tea. This was on sale. It was less than half price and a very nice tin can that it was in, metal can. Very beautiful presentation. This is the kasha. This is the president's butter, and again, that is the most important moringa powder for me, second to this. So I'm going to use 2 cups of water in the blender, or my juicer blender, and I'm going to go ahead and do the injections while I get the water going. So we've got that started. I'm going to get the kasha set. Now here I've cut the growths off because when it's not been treated with the chemical that they spray on in some supermarkets for selling ginger, they actually spray or apply a chemical that keeps the ginger from being used to grow your own. In this case, it's not happening here where I buy it in Georgia, so you can actually use these roots to grow your own ginger roots. So I'm taking and adding, again like yesterday, another part of the ginger root into the juice, and I'm going to save this section for tomorrow, and I have much more with me already. So I've got the kasha prepared, getting ready to cut these up, put them in the blender, and I'm going to do the self-injections now. Okay, I've just given my 2 self-injections, lipotropic B12 complex, and methylcobalamin B12. So I've finished with the syringes. This water has just completed heating up, so I'm going to get the kasha ready. I do have a Zoom event meeting online with the International Relations Council, Kansas City, tonight, and it is the U.S. ambassador. It's the ambassador from Saudi Arabia to the United States, and it's a very interesting. It's a members-only event, and the Saudi Arabia ambassador will speak about what has inspired her to public service. So it's going to be very interesting. And that's the International Relations Council, Kansas City. Now, on Kansas City time, it's probably going to be around 5:30 or 6 or so. On Tbilisi time, it's about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock a.m. in the morning. So that's why I'm up very early this time, because I'll be up this time tomorrow morning. So not that I'm always up. When it's sunrise, typically I'm awake. Unless it's an unusual situation or time in my life, I always get up early. So, in fact, I used to walk right around sunrise, and I'd wake up. In fact, this morning I woke up at sunrise, and I think it's a very natural, healthy place to be. When you're able to do that and you're doing that kind of habit, that kind of routine, I think that's the best. I think that's, as, if you want to say nature intended it, or more, I think, to the point, more in harmony with the natural cycles of nature and life, of the creational, if you will, to use the term that is so adeptly, beautifully used by Figu, F-I-G-U, out of Switzerland. Okay, so now I'm going to slice this beetroot, and I'm going to wait for this. I'm going to go ahead and get the butter, a couple of chunks of butter into the kasha. Now I have prepared the apple and beetroot slices for the blender, which is going to make my beautiful beetroot and apple juice. Now I've also prepared the green tea, although I'm still looking at the idea and the alleged research about having tea. They didn't specify which kind of tea, so I need to get a little bit more into that. But having coffee or tea or carbonated beverages within an hour of eating iron-rich foods, for example, is allegedly hampering the absorption of the iron from the food into the body. So this is an important thing to consider on a nutritional basis. Again, this video is just for information and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't practice medicine. I'm not making this video for anything other than entertaining and informing family and friends. This is it. Because I'm actually overseas, away from my family, brother, mother, father, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends. And no need to talk about the enemies, should we? Anyway, now as I threw those syringes away that I just used for the self-injection of B12 methylcobalamin, the most natural form of B12, and the Pernicious Anemia Society out of the UK, states that approximately out of the 8,500 plus or minus members, there are approximately 10% of those folks using methylcobalamin B12 injections. I found it very interesting that they say, however, it's not licensed in the UK or the United States, but it is also, as I know, it is also the most natural and usable form of B12 methylcobalamin. It doesn't take the 2 steps of processing that cyanocobalamin, the synthetic form a derivative from like a cyanide type of substance does. And so it's not toxic. And I surmise, I assume that it's not licensable. They can't license it, or if they try, it would be rather futile because it's from nature, it's natural, thus not considered toxic, and it's not from a toxic substance, unlike its synthetic rival cyanocobalamin. And there are also some warnings and issues about cyanocobalamin's use officially with Leber's disease, which is something I was concerned about because I'm dealing with what I believe to be optic neuropathy or optic atrophy, which is connected in specific case to B12 deficiency or vitamin B12 deficiency or pernicious anemia. However, I haven't seen the ophthalmologist yet. I have had all the symptoms of that, and therefore I want to see the ophthalmologist, but I'm waiting to get back to the United States because I have health insurance, medical insurance there. And depends on how much longer I'll be here as to whether I'll keep that decision or go ahead and see an ophthalmologist here in Georgia. I'm in the capital city of Tbilisi. So I'll be taking this also next, about a tablespoon. This is, in this case, the Dragon brand from India of the moringa powder. My brother has actually thought about growing these bushes, or trees actually, if he could overwinter them there in Missouri on one of the farms. So Phillips Harris is uncle's and mother's names on the farms there. So this is some little family history along the way. Harris and Phillips is Irish and English descent. So although we have a photo of a great-grandmother in full Native American, it wasn't a photo, it was an oil painting on the wall at some point. I don't know if I've seen that, but it is the fact that Native American Indian, and I think it's Cherokee, is on my maternal side of the family, as well as the English and Irish ancestry. So now I've prepared this to juice. Now I will state that the other part of this ginger root that I've shown in the latter clip is already in here, so I've begun to put in the ginger root, and I do like the taste. Of course, I've been drinking ginger tea. I took about a month break or so, but I was drinking ginger tea every day for weeks before that. So let's go ahead and get going with the making of the juice. Well, speaking about those syringes that I just thrown in the trash from my own self-administered, self-injected methylcobalamin B12 and also 1 cc or 1 milliliter of lipotropic B complex, vitamin B. I thought about the Instagram photos in the day story of top model, actress, kickboxer, Miss Europe crowned in 2019, professional fashion model, Vogue model, Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, She was actually in Milan, Italy, as the heavy part of the pandemic hit there. She was thankfully more or less evacuated back to Georgia, or they were, Georgian citizens were asked to leave Italy at that point to return to home, their home here in Georgia. Excuse me. So she's a pediatric rehabilitationist, as I understood, it's a specialist on helping medical care of children, including infants, of course. And she had I'm going to guess it was around maybe 10 or so syringes out on a table yesterday. It was at her work, and I'm going to assume a hospital or medical clinic. And and she was in her scrubs, light green scrubs, and I thought, well, I bet it would be interesting for her to maybe partner up sometime in the future and go and raise money or have the money to just make her own children's hospital, medical clinic. We have, I think it's St. Mercy's or Mercy's Hospital Mercy's Children's Hospital in Kansas City, I believe. And when I go on the events on the IRCKC, in fact, the first event that I went to on the International Relations Council Kansas City, I believe it was Kansas City Medical, KU Medical Center, or KU Hospital, was represented there. They helped support International Relations Council, Kansas City. Paula Dubrowski was presenting on the Berkeley Lecture Series, 23rd year, I believe. Paula Dubrowski served as the Undersecretary of State under the Reagan administration during the term of service of the former U.S. President, then U.S. President Ronald Reagan, which for me were fantastic years. That's when I was living in Kansas City. I was about 16 years old. And, well, more than 16, obviously. He was president for a couple of administrations. So Paula Dubrowski was presenting there, and the table, however, to have helped sponsor that event, or to have the entire table reserved for an institution like that, or a sponsor, was about $1,000, I believe. So anyway, it reminds me that there's Children's Hospital in Kansas City, and so right now, and unfortunately, in the coming years and decade, there's going to be a massive need for more of that, and it would be interesting. I just had this idea. It's like, wow, I bet Mariam Managadze, sister of Tico, daughter of Irma. I'm sorry, I don't know if I know her father's name. I've seen his photos several times on her Facebook pages or Instagram, I think. I said, I bet Mariam Managadze would enjoy investing in, helping raise money for, or founding a children's hospital or medical clinic, if she hasn't done that already, of course. So it just came to my mind. That's interesting, isn't it? Well, so as I have talked about Mariam Managadze's Instagram day story, photos, her work, she is a busy, busy woman, very talented woman. Here's the juice here at the bottom that has the water, beetroot juice, and apple juice separating from, actually, as I've shown before, the liquid, after I do this blending, goes down as the pulp is left up, floating up. Now there's a little bit of foam, but not, at least not distinguishable as much at this particular point in the process. So, however, there's enough juice there, I could probably go ahead and start spooning off the pulp. And I've seen it separate into 4 different bands, if you will, 4 different rings. So that's where we're at with that. And this is the green tea that has been brewing, if you will. The butter has melted into the kasha, and I have prepared to be ready to take the moringa powder. We'll clean up the cutting board. It's the full moon yesterday, about 7 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time, about a minute after. That's unusual. But anyway, it was a full moon yesterday, August 22nd. Today's August 23rd on a Monday morning here in Tbilisi. And it's probably still before midnight back in the Midwest. So they're still on day 22 in Missouri, but they're getting ready to pass over into just after midnight, which technically would be the 23rd, like it is here on a Monday. So now that this is still separating, you can see the foam on the top, more pulp separating from the juice here at the bottom. So this is breakfast. It's a little bit of commentary about Mariam Managadze. That's Managadze. Her Instagram day story. I haven't a lot of content on her, unfortunately. I have some, and the ones that the shows I did film her and photograph her on, I think were really remarkable, and I remember them well, and extraordinary. They're unique in more ways than one. And there are some shows that I was able to film or photograph in which she was in. She invited me to come to see her in one of the shows on a Monday, and I'm glad I did. That was very unusual. She was only wearing something like a G-string and a belt that was a chain, basically, and some sunglasses. It was a Turkish designer, and the name of the show was. See if I can remember that. Something like "Fake is the New Black" or something like that. And anyway, I've got that up on my YouTube channel and in the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week playlist. And I had a very heavy cold. Then I wouldn't have came if she hadn't invited me to come see the show. So I did go and see it. I'm very happy that I did that, because it was very, very cool. And it's one of the more remarkable shows. And of course, Mariam is an extraordinary model. I remember following her when she was in Milan, Italy. And she was so happy to be there. In fact, I almost stopped in there. I was going to stop. I found a very nice apartment to stay at right on the sea. It was in a bay on the sea. And the balcony at the apartment I was going to go to would have been right there. And it would have been like 12 or 17 euro to take a train from there to Milan. I've been in Milan. But then the pandemic really got even worse, and I'm glad I didn't go, because that would have been the worst place to be. So she's been back here in Georgia as far as I know. So there's life after the pandemic, right? This continues to separate. You can see there's more pulp distinguishable here. The juice here. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to separate that out and drink the juice. And the oatmeal is more than ready, or as they say over here, kasha. And I'm going to go ahead and take this, as I've been doing daily for 8 weeks now. This purports to be one of the most nutritious and possibly maybe medicinal plant products on the planet. It's well worth researching. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't practice medicine. This video is just for information and entertainment purposes only. Have a nice day. It's August 23rd, 2021. I'm in Tbilisi.